All right, folks. I hope you enjoyed our previous conversation that we had with Sir Kaya Redford about the power of mindset, communication, and programming. If you recall from our last episode, effective communication is a game changer. It is not just about what you say, but it's about how you say it and the impact it has on others. Let's continue on our conversation with Sir Kaya Redford in regards to communication.
One thing that stood out for me was you had mentioned neuro-linguistic programming. And I'm not sure whether or not our audience is actually familiar with that phrase. So can you explain that a little bit further?
Yes. So neuro-linguistic programming. Let's start with who, actually. Ronald Reagan called the great communicator, U.S. President, Bill Clinton, Oprah Winfrey, Richard Branson, Tony Blair. If you watch tennis, Serena Williams. If you watch movies, X-Men, Wolverine, Hugh Jackman. These are all, and all the big companies are all the types of people that have studied it. And what NLP is, neuro-linguistic programming, which is part of neuroscience. You've heard of neuroscience, I'm sure. Is really, in simple terms, it's the study of human excellence. It's basically what we've heard before. Success leaves clues. When you look at what makes people successful, they do things in a certain way. And that gives you a clue on what you could do. So now let's go into deeper what it is. It's the study of human excellence, and it's neuro, which is mindset. So my question for you, for everybody, how important is mindset in your business and your life? Most people say mindset's everything. Even if you don't have the skill set, even if you don't have any money, if you don't have anything, you have the right mindset, you will learn the skill sets. You will find a way, right? So mindset's everything. Second piece is language, linguistic, language, effective communication. How important is it for you to effectively communicate, for you to speak into the listening of the client, for you to enroll yourself first as an employee or someone that's about to step into being an entrepreneur? Who's the first person you need to get the buy-in from? Who's the first person you need to influence? Right, you. Most people don't realize that when you're having a conversation in your head, it's almost like you talking to you. It's you got to influence you, right? So influence, linguistic, language, effective communication. And then when you're influencing your staff, when you're influencing your boss, when you're influencing your employees, being able to effectively communicate, your life, your success, your results, even your bank account will be directly proportionate to your ability to effectively communicate or not. Your ability to effectively communicate or not will show up in your bank account. And then we'll go to the third one, but I know you had a question on that. Then we'll go, so mindset, linguistic, language, and the last one's programming, but I'll go after you. Yes.
Right. Okay. So mindset, I get. Communication wise, let's dig into that a little bit further.
Sure. Yes.
Because communication, when we say communication, people in IT or people in the business world are going to be like, oh, well, I know how to present. I've done it a bunch of times. I maybe have gone so far as sold something, so I know I can communicate. But what is that? What exactly do you mean that is not what they're thinking?
Wow. So when it comes to communication, this is loaded. This is a loaded conversation, and in the sense that I have a training that one could, in theory, go through a whole 12-week program just to learn just the basics of communication. So I want to be really respectful with that question, and also let's give you as a listener and audience, let's give you something you can use today.
Yes.
Right? So first question, what is communication? Well, one of the things that neuro-linguistic programming says, and this is, again, as we go into some of these topics, I want to share that should we be more focused on truth? Because I got to say, truth sounds like, especially in the world we live in today, truth ought to be really, really important. Or should we err a little bit more on what will get you results? What we've chosen to do, very good question. So let truth be truth for where it needs to be. But you as a communicator, not you, and you as a communicator, we are interested in getting results. So what results are you getting as a communicator? So one of the presuppositions of communication in neuro-linguistic programming is that my communication, please write this down, everybody. My communication is the response I get back.
My communication is the response that I get back.
Wait a minute. I'm going to argue with that because I'm on the airing of what's true and what's not true. Wait a minute. No. My communication is what I just said. I said this, and that's what I communicate. We're saying you're right. That is what you communicated. But why don't we go one step further and have ownership of the results? What I mean by that is, what if you took on even more responsibility for not only what you said, but also how it landed to the other person? What was the impact on the other person? And what was the result? Did the person say yes to you or no? Did the person support you or withdraw their support from you? It's not about ego. It's not about being right. That's a whole other topic. Do you want to be right, or do you want to have a relationship? Do you want to be right, or do you want to be happy? We're not going into relationships and intimacy and all that stuff today, but there's many other things. Let's get back to this topic. In the context of communication, do I want to take ownership of my response? My communication is the response I get back, because if I do, I am now taking on a new hat. If I'm no longer gonna blame or excuse or make excuses of why someone doesn't get me, I'm going to take full ownership of that. I'm going to ask myself a different question. What am I saying and what am I doing that's causing and creating within you such support, such agreement, such, unity, such being on the same page, such powerful teamwork? And how are you communicating with me that's creating that? I'm also going to ask the other question. The second one. Here's the second presupposition of NLP in the context of communication. I love this. There are no resistant people. I feel like I almost want to argue against that right now, but I'm not going to, because I'm going to listen to the whole thing. There are no resistant people. There are only inflexible communicators.
Inflexible communicators. Unpack that a little bit for me.
So what we do, we always do this. We walk in a room, we do our thing, we share what we share, and not everybody's hand went up. Not everybody came to support us. Someone said no. A client said no. Someone didn't do what a leader says, I told them what to do. In fact, I'm about to coach a company in San Diego that they staff for the restaurant industry, right? And then the talk is, I have to repeat myself again and again. I have to tell these people the same thing again and again and again. Well, what does that tell me? That tells me that it's not, you can go and blame them that they're resisting you. And I'm not saying they're not, they might even be, but what it tells me is that you have not found a way to inspire them. What it tells me as a leader, whose responsibility is a leader to be a great communicator, to inspire them? Is it their responsibility to be inspired by you? Or is it you, the leader of the team, the CEO of the company, the person that's supposed to take people to a championship team? You look at people like Michael Jordan. Why didn't Michael Jordan, and why do I talk about him? Because he's a great metaphor for transformation. Everybody wants to be like Mike, right? You want to be like the Michael Jordan of, or you want to be like the LeBron James of, or the Kobe Bryant of. Michael Jordan refused to be coached by any other coach other than Phil Jackson. When the Chicago Bulls were not willing to pay, or said they weren't going to pay Phil Jackson at the time, the coach who had won 6 or 7 championships already, whatever the number was, weren't going to pay him the $10 million, Michael Jordan said, I just won't play. I won't come back next season. Why? Because Michael Jordan, a 10 out of 10 player, is not going to respect and go under the leadership of a 3 out of 10 leader. A 10 out of 10,
yes.
a 10 out of 10, a 7, even a 7 or an 8 or a 9 or a 10 out of 10 leader is not going to be led by a player. It's not going to be led by a 3 out of 10 leader. So it really falls on the leader. The leaders gets to find a way to communicate better. So that's why when things go wrong in a company, they always fire the leader. They always replace the leader. So when we say there are no resistant people, there are only inflexible communicators, we're not saying there are no resistant people in the world. We know there are. But from the point of communication, what will make you more effective? That you just make an excuse. Oh, well, these people are just so resistant and I can't do anything about it. It's all their problem. Or would it be more effective if you stepped into the mindset of, I just get to be a better communicator. I get to be a more flexible communicator. So write this down, everybody, please. This is the next one. We say flexibility is power. When you are able to be flexible, what did Bruce Lee say? Bruce Lee said, be like water. Be like water, my friend. Water goes over. Water goes under. Water goes around. Water goes through. Water improvises, water adapts, water overcomes. Water will find its way to its destination. So when you think of communication, think of what Bruce Lee said. Be like water, my friend. Be flexible. Water can be water. It can become ice if it's frozen. It can become steam. It can literally change its composition to go anywhere it wants to go, at any time it wants to go to it, right? And it's also the breath of life. So the second piece is that.
I was just going to say, that is so inspiring that, like, even the concept of inflexible communication really, to me, is like what people normally say, well, I sent you an email. Okay, well, how does that help me?
That didn't work for me. Here's another thing. There are people that are visual, right? They have to be shown, right? There are people that are auditory. You're better off picking up the phone and talking to them,
right?
Because they're highly auditory. They respond to tonality and cadence and sound. There are people that are not so much visual, not so much auditory. They're highly kinesthetic. Well, these are NLP terms, but basically visual, I see. Auditory, I hear. Kinesthetic is I feel. So there are people that it's best. I have another client, his name is Eric, and he's writing a book. By the way, I want to give a little shout out to my buddy Eric. He has a mission called Education by Quotation. He has written over 20,000 quotes, and we're looking to do a big thing and changing the world with his thing. He wants to meet in person. He doesn't want to meet on Zoom. He wants to meet me in the flesh. He wants to be at the restaurant or be in the office, and he wants to sit down, and he wants this. If I insist on sending him an email, good luck. If I insist on getting on Zoom with him, good luck. Now, of course, there's a one-off situation where I'm flying to Chicago, then I'm flying to New York, where we're going to have to do a Zoom because I'm out of state. But there are some people that are kinesthetic, right? You want to shake their hand. If it's appropriate, you'd give them a hug, whatever the situation may be. And then you have people that are highly what we call auditory digital, which just means analytical, means they process the world by steps and procedures. 1, 2, 3, A, B, C. So we have a test. In fact, those of you that are interested in this stuff, we have a test. You can come to one of our trainings and you can take the test, and it will tell you what proportion of you is more visual, more auditory, more feeling, more analytical. And then here's the thing. There's 4 different groups, and 25% of the population is probably one of the other 4 groups. So if you're communicating your way and you're highly visual, circles and bubbles, and someone's super analytical or someone's super auditory, someone's super kinesthetic, and you feel like you're just not on the same page, you feel like you don't get them, they don't get you. Why? It probably means that you and them have a different communication modality.
Yes.
And when you take the test, you'll learn what yours is. When you take when they take the test, they'll learn what theirs is. And then you'll learn what the keywords are that you can use to speak into their listening. And in fact, you don't even need to give them the test. because I can show you a way where you can pay attention to what they say and you can figure out which one they are just by hearing them. And then what are the keywords? What are the keywords you get to use to speak into their listening? And unfortunately, here's the challenge, the problem with this is if you are not, and I want to repeat this, if you are not speaking into someone's listening, you may think they don't get you. It's worse than that. They don't even hear anything you're saying. What we've discovered is that when you're not speaking into the person's listening, into their primary sense, everything you're saying is literally going like this. And that's why you've had these experiences where you spoke to someone for 30 minutes and you walked away feeling like they didn't even get, they have no clue what you said. You're not even on the same page. So that's why I said, you know, and I probably sort of glossed over 3 of maybe 15 or 20 modules for communication that we would have someone, you know, another one is Milton model. So now we can get into hypnotic language. That's a whole other level, right? How did Obama win the presidency? Yes, we can. Yes, we can. What? I'm confused.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yes, we can. Well, you know, I'm a robber. I rob banks. So I hear yes, we can, and I go, okay, I guess I could go rob another bank today. Yes, we can. I'm a teacher. I can help all my students get A's. Yes, I can. I'm an athlete and I can win the championship. Yes, I can. I'm a couch potato and I can sit home and be lazy and do nothing all day. Yes, I can. That is language that is hard for anybody to disagree with, because you're going to fill in after yes we can. So what that is an example of the language patterns that politicians, top leaders are using. They've been highly trained in to be able to get the masses to agree and align. So there's one type of language called Milton model, which is hypnotic language. Milton Erickson, one of the most famous hypnotherapists of all time, and he would speak to people in this type of language and their issues, their problems would miraculously disappear. So he was like a therapist, hypnotherapist, right? Then you have the other type of technique. One is Milton, which is for abstract, and it puts people in a relaxed receptivity and makes them think, yes, we can. And the other one is the exact opposite. It's very specific. It's very nuts and bolts. It's very into the details. And so when you learn how to use those two types of language, you're able to, what we call it, I'm going a little advanced here, but I feel like you can handle it. You're able to become what we call it chunk up to agreement. You're able to get everybody to agree on the bigger vision. And then guess what? Because you've learned the other aspect of it, the meta model, you're now able, from that place of agreement, you're now able to negotiate the details while still maintaining agreement. So these are huge tools, and the youngest someone is 6 years old. A 6 years old person can learn this. You know, anybody that can put a few words together, this can be taught to anybody.
Wow, really? So I'm a lot of thoughts are going through my head right now, because a lot of what you have said is very, very applicable to organizations and leaders who are leading their organization through what we call a digital transformation, which generally means, you know, we've got this huge information system that we're putting in our organization. You know, it could be that we've had the legacy system for decades and it's outdated, so we need to get there. But we have people who we need to bring along the journey, and how do we get their buy-in, and how do we train them effectively to use a system and to do the new jobs or the new roles that they will have? Because of course, when you have a new system, the whole entire organization, all of your business processes, all of the people's roles will change, right?
Yeah.
So in organizational change management, and I don't know how much work you've done for organizational change or working with organizational change managers, but this is supremely valuable to employ when you're trying to bring a mass of people, the whole entire organization, to be excited about the new change and the new system.
One of the biggest tools. So I want to give a couple books. For those of you that really are into communication and leadership. It's incredible writer, John Maxwell, his book called The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership.
Laws of Leadership. Love it.
The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. Definitely want to read that. Also look up Jocko Willink. We've actually had him on our stage. Jocko Willink is the commander of the SEAL team, SEAL Team 1, SEAL Team 2. He was literally the trainer of the SEAL team. And in his book called Extreme Ownership, he talks about how to get the buy-in, how to get people on board with the mission and the vision, especially in the military when you've got lives at stake. You know, one weak link, one person not on the same page puts the entire battalion, the entire team in danger. In
jeopardy, for sure.
In jeopardy. And so what he said is the biggest gap that he discovered was that leaders were telling people what to do, but not telling them why.
By not telling them, but not telling them why.
But not telling them why. Why is this so important? Why needs it to be done this way? Because when you give them the why, you give them the motivation and the impetus, and then you can get to the what, and then you can get to the how, but you always got to start with a why. So I would like to impart on your listeners, and I know we've covered a lot of different things. I'm going to give another tool, if it's okay, another one.
Absolutely.
Whenever you deliver a message to anybody, you want to use the format system. The format system is 4 components. The first thing, you cover why. Why is this important? Why must this be done this way? And it's kind of smart when you go into the why. Don't just think of yourself. Think about the listener, the with him. What's in it for them? What's in it for me? Everyone's thinking, what's in it for me? So when you do something and why it's important, make sure that I understand how it benefits me. We're selfish creatures as human beings. We want to do something that benefits ourselves. So first tell me why. Then tell me what. What is it? Is it a 45-minute workout? Is it a multitude of 8 different exercises with 4 sets? When we're going to do this? Like, what is it? I now know why. Well, what is it? Is it a technology? Is it what's the process of that? So you're breaking down the why, the research, the data, the information that a person needs to know as a foundation in order to do something. And then the next step, you go into the how. A lot of people never learn something until they actually go through the process of doing it, the how, the steps. Right. So 1, 2, 3, A, B, C. And then the final 4th step is you open it up for questions. So what if this? What if that? So what are the questions that they have? You would literally ask them, what questions do you have? What did you learn? What would you like me to know? So we always start with why, because if you don't start with why, guess what? You lose the audience immediately. If you don't have the buy-in of your audience in the first 1 to 2 minutes, they tune you out. They don't even hear the rest of the presentation. You got to start with why, then the what, then how to do it, what are the steps, procedures, and then a Q&A at the end where they get the clarification on questions they want to ask.
I love that. I love how simple you've conveyed this, because this can be applied to, a massive organizational meeting with like all hands, town hall, and it can also apply to the individual communication. If you're calling someone, or you're emailing someone, or you're just having a conversation with someone, right? It's so ubiquitous.
And we have a one-day event, and you can, if you're in the US, if you're out of the country, it's inexpensive. We have a promotion for $97. It's very, very inexpensive. Every 3rd Saturday of the month, we have a one-day event where we go into this with greater depth, and we actually give you the scripts. We teach you it fully, and you actually do an exercise so you embody it. So by the time you leave, you've now mastered that skill.
Amazing.
And now you're an even better leader, a better influencer, better communicator, a better father, better mother, better son, better daughter. better entrepreneur. Even if you're going to stay as an employee and you make a decent living as an employee, you'll be a better employee. You'll get more done faster, quicker, easier, better, smarter by having these tools.
I love it.
We also go into personality types. So how do you understand what makes people tick? How do you communicate to this type of personality versus that, versus this, versus that? What drives them? What do they want? What do they need? Each personality type. What lights them up? What gets them going? What's the one thing you could say to them or give to them that just makes them go, yes? And then also, what's their greatest fear? What is their greatest fear and concern that you need to be aware of when you're communicating to them? So those are the personality types. So it's just a lot. When it comes to communication, it's a lot.
So much.
It will change your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Completely change your life.
Okay, before I forget, where do we find you? What's your website, social media? Where do you want us to communicate with you?
First, I have some free gifts. Just the fact that you're tuning in with Catherine here and you're part of this show and you're learning and you're growing, I want to just give you some amazing free gifts. So if you're anywhere in the U.S., anywhere in even Hawaii, just came back from Hawaii, you can get a one-page PDF download on how to sell or influence. You might just be a leader with your staff. You might be an entrepreneur. You might be an employee, and you're like, I need to be able to get more leads. I need to be able to communicate with more people. I need to do business with more people. So your ability to effectively communicate and influence all different types of personality types, and there's 4 main ones, and or sell to them, is a critical skill. So one of the gifts we have is a one-page PDF that teaches you how to do that. You can literally get it straight to your phone. You can save it in your photo album, and you can have it at your fingertips anytime you walk into any meeting. So that's our first gift. The second gift is us being success coaches for Fortune 500 companies. We train all the different top real estate companies, mortgage companies, financial service companies, network marketing companies. We're now getting into the medical industry. We are doing entertainment, sports, like a bunch of different people that are going to be the best versions of themselves. So we have a closed private Facebook group where the top 1% of all these industries that we coach and we train are there, that you can join that Facebook group. You can learn from them. You can model them. Remember, we talked about it earlier. You can see them. You can interview them. You can model them. You can strategize with them on how you can create the success you want to. So we're inviting you to join that private closed Facebook group for free, right? And you'll get a link to that. The other thing is you might have heard something today and you may go, I feel like I'd like to have a conversation. I'd like to have a conversation with someone, Kaya or someone on his team to ask him a question. So you can get a private consult with someone on our team. And then number 4, we have live events. We have free events. We just had one in Beverly Hills a few days ago. We had one on Zoom a few days before that. So the value of all these gifts is $997. Now, would you like to have that for free? Yes, who wouldn't want all that for free?
Who wouldn't?
Would you like to have that for free now, today, right now?
Absolutely.
So if you're in the U.S., grab your phone and just text the word TOP, T-O-P. Again, it's T-O-P, top, right? Top for top performer, T-O-P. So text the word TOP, T-O-P, to the phone number 26786. Again, that's the word TOP, T-O-P, to the phone number 26786, TOP, T-O-P, to the phone number 26786. And then within 10 seconds, you'll get the one-page PDF that tells you how to influence and sell and communicate to the 4 different personality types. And then within a week, you'll get all the free gifts. That's number 1. That's our free gift for you for tuning in to this incredible leader and all the great things she's doing. Now, if you want to attend our actual program, we have a promotion. It's $497 and it's discount to $97. So it's very inexpensive. It's 3rd Saturday of every month. If you're watching this interview 5 years from now, who knows, it might be on a Thursday, but for now there's Saturdays from 12 to 7. You can go to the website tpfaster.com. T, again, for the word top. P, for the word performer, top performer or top producer. Faster, faster.com. So T as in top, P as in performer, producer, the word faster.com.